My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. Jacob and I are going to break down the entire UFC Vegas 92 fight card. We're going to give you our picks, our predictions, our bets, and our DraftKings plays on a special Monday edition of the full card breakdown. We normally do this on Tuesdays, but the Pacers are playing tomorrow, and that is Jacob's team. So instead of dealing with the distractions, we're going to move this to Monday so he can devote his time to us today and his time to the Pacers tomorrow. Jakey boy, are they going to win? Like, are they supposed to win this series, or are they the underdog?
Oh, they're the underdog, but we're praying to God. We love our God.
Should they have been out already, or 2-2 makes sense for what this was supposed to be?
Probably what it should be.
All right, cool. Well, we're going to start off with a little bit of positivity. Jacob pointed out to me yesterday that his lock of the week is 6 in the last 8. 6-2 in the last 8. He won 6 of the last 8 lock of the weeks. And this is a reminder that Jacob's lock of the week is 100% free. It doesn't cost you a penny. You don't need to be a subscriber. You don't need to be a premium member. It is 100% free content. If you don't know what it is, Jacob picks an underdog every week that he believes wholeheartedly will win. He then takes hours of his time to edit one of the best highlight videos you'll ever see, and he puts all that together, and then he posts it for free on this channel for literally $0. Not only is it an underdog every single week, those underdogs are making him and all of you a ton of money. All time since he started the lock of the week, it is up 31 units. That's if you put 1 unit on every lock. It is up 31 units all time. This year in 2024, we're only in month 5 of 2024. And it is up 6.76 units this year. That is over a unit of net profit every single month from the lock of the week, which again is 100% free. It hits it at 52% accuracy, which you may say, oh, that's low. This is underdogs. These are only underdogs. And the return on investment, if you put 1 unit on every lock, is 29%. This graphic you see on the right, this is on the website. On the website, it is every single lock he has ever placed. The win-loss, the record, the net return units. So Jacob, thanks for pointing that out, because I do get caught up in my own little world and I don't look beyond what I'm doing. So well done with your lock of the week.
Not surprised. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
You put in the time, you get success.
All right. I was expecting a little more, maybe, but I guess that's what we're going to get. Guys, this is a reminder. The lock is free. It is also 100% free to subscribe, to like, to do all of those things. So the support is genuinely appreciated. We are closing in on 25,000 subscribers here on YouTube. Depending on the quality of the fight card and the volume, meaning when there's a week off, obviously views dip. If it's a phenomenal card, the views increase. We're anywhere from 275 to 350,000 views in a rolling month. And we appreciate every last one of you. If you don't want to be a premium member, you don't have the money or any of that stuff, totally fine. Click the subscribe button. Do those things, because that costs nothing. The lock of the week is free, and we appreciate all of you. And while we're riding this congratulations train, this was an interesting card. UFC St. Louis was interesting. It felt like a tricky card. It felt like a lot of people did unbelievably bad, and then some people did kind of well. I didn't feel like there was a huge in between. I lost $27. Jacob won a couple of bucks. So together we were about even. But then we got messages from premium members. We got a message from Josh. Josh said, 2 weeks in a row, I have won the $3 DraftKings tournament. $1,200 last week, $2,300 this week, all with your help. And then he sent some screenshots. I posted that on the Twitter, on the X, and we got a reply. And the reply was from the Benevolent, and it was his lineup. He made $80. He said, let's go. Membership pays for itself. In the comments of my Quick Picks videos, K. Kuntz said, Angelo helped me make $550 on Prize Picks this week and $2,265 over the last 4 events. Thank you, man. The point of this is to say thank you to you guys. Sharing these success stories are very helpful, not only for us, but helpful for people on the outside. So we appreciate every last one of you, whether you're a premium member, whether you're just watching, liking, subscribing, and doing all of those things. If you're not a premium member, you might as well become one. It's only $10 a month. And if we go back one single slide, all of these people are premium members and they have done quite well for themselves. Premium membership is more than just my bets and Jacob's bets. It's more than my picks and Jacob's picks. There's tools, interactive data, insight, and more. One of those tools is the line movement tracker. This is going to give you the opening odds, the current odds, the win probability, and the line movement for every fighter on every card. This card specifically, we have had a handful of dogs flip to favorites. We've had wild gaps on women fights and then much tighter line movement on some of the other fights. We'll talk about every single one of those in a minute. You're also going to get the DraftKings Optimizer. This will build DraftKings lineups for you. Couple clicks of the button, it'll spit out 150 lineups. It is preloaded every single fight with the ownership projections and the scoring projections. And we have quite literally the best ownership projections in the game. And you're going to get more than just me and Jakey Boy. Artem is giving you his picks and bets, not only for UFC, but also LFA, PFL, and the regional shows as well. Road to the UFC kicks back up shortly, and Artem is going to be breaking all of that for you. And we also have the Pick GPT. This is the artificial intelligence that is picking fights based solely off of data at a very, very impressive accuracy. All of this and so much more. WeWantPicks.com. Just click Become a Member at the top. It's only $10 for an entire month. You sign up this week, you're going to get UFC 302 included with that as well. Jakey Boy, any words for the people before we break this down?
I think it's a pretty good Apex card.
I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. People hate the Apex. And I get it, there is some Apex fatigue there, and there have been some atrocious cards, but this, for an Apex card, might be the best one we've had this year.
Yeah, and there's talk now that Dana is starting to bring back up to get rid of the Apex, but honestly, I don't mind Apex fights. I don't lie. Smaller cage, the fans are loud enough. I mean, I don't think it's...
People need to be careful what they wish for, because if the UFC gets rid of the Apex, there's not fights every single week. The reason we have fights, 45 of the 52 weeks out of the year or something like that, is because of the Apex. If they're in a different arena every single week, we are not getting fights every single week. So as much as I'm not a giant Apex fan, you seem to like it a little more than I do, I would rather have fights every single weekend and have them be in the Apex than no fights at all. So people do need to be careful. I also see people bitching about the intro. You're lucky I don't ban you. We do have a $5 super chat from Dr. Y. It says, interesting. He did send this during the Lock of the Week praise. So congratulations to Jakey Boy. Thank you for the 5 spot from Dr. Y. Let's move on to this card. We mentioned this is a pretty good Apex card. It's not great, but it's not bad either. We've got a couple of really close matchups. We have a couple of very wild odds. And then this main event is pretty good as well. And opening up the UFC Vegas 92 fight card, we have Haley Alateng taking on Kleydson Rodrigues. One of the most annoying parts about this fight, though, is Kleydson is spelled differently literally everywhere. K-L-E-Y, K-L-E-I. And that makes it kind of a pain in the butt to get all of our data, to find some of the bets and do that stuff. But either way, it's Kleydson Rodrigues. It is with a Y. That's how he spells it on Instagram, so I imagine that's how it's spelled. Haley Alateng, 16-9 overall, 2-2-1 in his last 5. He's coming off that one-sided loss to Chris Gutierrez, taking on Kleydson Rodrigues, 8-3 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, coming off the submission loss to Farid Bajarat. This is one of those line movement flip fights. Haley Alateng open as a favorite, a -115 favorite, a slight favorite. He's now +128 dog. Full flip there, and I kind of understand it. I understand why Haley opened as a favorite. He can be a technical striker. He can be a busy grappler. He can stay in your face. He'll hang out for a firefight. He'll let his hands go. He's pretty tough. He'll move forward. He can also grapple. He has a combined 11 takedowns in 4 fights where he tried to grapple. The big knock on him, though, is he's either striking or grappling. He's not doing both things. There are not many fights at all in his career where he did both of those things. He is tough as nails. He can struggle with forward pressure. And he is coming off that loss to Chris Gutierrez where he had a couple of takedowns, but he was outstruck 110-38 because, as I mentioned, he can't do both things. And the forward pressure might be a problem for him here because he's taking on Kleydson Rodrigues, and Kleydson is a pressure fighter. He's a ton of fun, very versatile striking style. He'll mix in kicks really well. He's got power in his hands. He throws a lot of those punches from his hips, so they are telegraphed, but they are powerful. Takedown defense definitely needs some work. He can be taken down pretty easily, but his takedown offense is solid. He's got good trips, good clinch. He doesn't really shoot from the outside. He'll work in from there, and he'll try to get you to the ground. When he is on top, he does a good job of establishing positions and then raining down some strikes. He's coming off that finish loss to Farid Basharat, where he was just completely outclassed. But there was plenty of pressure, and he was always doing something. Alateng opening as the favorite makes sense to me. He and them flipping to the dog also makes sense to me because I think Alateng is definitely the exact type of guy that can beat a young, sort of sloppy Kleydson Rodrigues. But he doesn't like pressure. He doesn't like forward pressure. He doesn't fight nearly as well backing up as he does moving forward. Kleydson Rodrigues is going to stay in his face. He is going to back him up. And I think Kleydson Rodrigues wins this fight. But if Haley shows up as a Nurmagomedov, he could absolutely take him down and control from there. I am going to stick with Kleydson here. He's going to be the pick. Not touching a money line bet here. I don't fully trust the kid that just got finished by a guy that's not very great at finishing people. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I agree. I want to be all over Kleydson here, but for all the kind of alarms and red flags that you raise, I'm also on those. We still don't really know who Kleydson is or how good he is. I mean, you saw him at 125 versus CJ, and he looked like he had a lot of heart in that fight. Then he comes back against Shannon Ross, gets the knockout, and then he's getting out-wrestled by Farid. Now he's at 135 trying to do that whole thing. You just really don't know how good this kid is, and I think he's going to be one of those guys that is always going to be live by the sword or die by the sword. I think it's going to be you're chasing first-round finishes type of stuff with this guy, and Alatengheili is a guy that typically is a pretty durable guy. He can withstand that stuff. The issue with Alatengheili is, I think you mentioned it, fight IQ, right? Chris Gutierrez, hey, just fucking wrestle Chris Gutierrez. Didn't try to wrestle till the end and then all of a sudden got some late takedowns very easily. It's like, motherfucker, if you did that in the first round, you would have won this fight. So I can't trust the game plan from Alatengheili. I think Kleydson is a much more dangerous fighter. Even when Farid took him down, he almost swung around, got the back. He's dangerous on the ground and on the feet. But if this goes out of the first round, I know Kleidson's got a lot of heart. He showed that versus CJ. But even having heart doesn't necessarily win you rounds, and I think he might struggle second and third versus Alatengheili. So I want to be all over Kleydson. I just need to see him prove it to me one more time, especially at 135. So he's going to be my pick, but I've stayed away from betting him.
Yeah, it's funny because somebody commented Kleydson Rodrigues got finished by CJ Vergara or lost to CJ Vergara. That's a bad look. I disagree. CJ's a dog, dude. We have seen CJ in war after war. I don't think losing to CJ makes you a bum at all.
Yeah, and Kleydson was very tired. He did not quit. I mean, he was still winning scrambles, trying to win scrambles, doing what he could.
Yeah, so I think it's literally going to be an issue for Haley with Kleydson just moving forward, not stopping, staying in his face. But it is a tricky fight. I totally get the line flip. DraftKings, though, is very interesting. $7,600 for Haley Alateng, $8,600 for Kleydson. If Haley Alateng grapples, works in the wrestling, I mentioned he has 11 takedowns in the 4 fights that he even attempted takedowns. If that's the route he goes, he will cruise well past his salary. Do you like either one of these guys in DraftKings?
I think there could be value in Kleydson. I think that, although Alatengheili is typically a durable guy, if there's somebody that's going to finish somebody like him, it probably is going to be like a Kleydson. I'm looking for a bet right now to see what the odds are that I might like that I haven't played yet. Let me see. What's this, 92?
Yeah. And Kleidson's definitely the finisher of the two. If there's going to be a finish in this fight, it will be on that side.
Yeah, inside the distance decisional action for Kleydson is plus 120. And I think he's got the heart. I mean, Alatengheili is not really typically a big finisher. And he's
why is it plus 120? What's the odds on the over? Is that why they're just expecting the refund?
Yeah, over 2.5 is minus 200.
Yeah, so they're just expecting the refund.
And he's the one that got finished in his last fight, too. So, I mean, there's that caveat as well. But Farid's a little bit of a different animal than Alatengheili. But that's an interesting play to me because I think he's got heart to survive.
Yeah, it's funny because I threw a bunch of bets on the board earlier today. And I was looking at all the fights. Like, where could I get an inside the distance decision, no action? I didn't even look at this one because I'm typically looking for underdogs right? I'm typically like, who's a big dog that is durable? But looking at Kleydson as the favorite here, who has all the finishing upside to get plus money on that bet, it's not a terrible bet. So I might jump on that too.
I think I'm going to play that, yeah.
Yeah, I might jump all over that. If you do want to check out all the bets that we have placed already, all the picks, the tools, the round line leans, and more, it's only $10 for an entire month. That will include UFC 302. Just go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. You'll instantly unlock everything you have ever wanted or needed heading into fight week. And it's also just a fantastic way to support me, Jakey Boy, the rest of the people behind the scenes, and this channel as a whole, WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. We do have a $5 super chat from an off-the-rails Dr. Y. He said, well, I just saw Haley's comment. She waved, said, why you always running in place? Even the man in the moon disappeared somewhere in the stratosphere. Are these song lyrics? Do you know? You're the song guy.
The last part sounds familiar.
It sounds like these seem like song lyrics. Haley's comment, I grew up when Haley's comment was a thing. Pretty sure that was in the 90s. All those people off themselves thinking that a comet was coming to change the world.
Second Chance by Shinedown.
There you go. Shinedown. A Shinedown lyric. Holy shit. Good for you, Dr. Y.
Somewhere in the stratosphere. Isn't it something like that?
I don't know. Well, you know what I have in my head now? There's a shining stars gonna hit right now. What song is that?
B.O.B. and Bruno.
Yeah, B.O.B. Yeah. There's shining stars. I like Shinedown. What was Shinedown's super famous song?
It might be this one. I must do it right now.
Is Shinedown Think Twice Before You Touch My Girl? Come around and Was that Shinedown? Think Twice or Think Touch Before You Touch My Girl? I think that's Shinedown. All right, I gotta move on. I'm trying to listen to it through.
I don't know
the Is Shinedown that song?
I know the band. I was listening, so I couldn't hear what you were saying.
Oh yeah, it's like think twice before you touch my girl. Come around, That's Shinedown, right?
I don't know.
I didn't, and those aren't even the words. It's not. That's Nickelback. I'm not singing Nickelback. First of all, Nickelback is fantastic, but that wasn't Nickelback. Think twice before you touch. Oh, Nickelback was fantastic.
Like the string for Nickelback.
Actually, real quick, I saw the lead singer from Nickelback. Somebody interviewed him like, how did you turn into a meme? Like, how did it become cool to make fun of Nickelback? And there is literally an exact moment in time. I'm forgetting what it is now, but there was like an exact moment in pop culture where somebody made a joke about Nickelback being lame, and then it just took over and became a cultural phenomenon. And now 20 years later, people are like, they're not lame. These songs are fantastic.
It's good music.
And they are. Yeah, I mean, they're genuinely good songs. And like, he was angry about it. Like, he wasn't just like laughing it off. He was like, yeah, like that really affected our one joke. Definitely affected our lives in a negative way. Next up, at UFC Vegas 92, we have Vanessa Demopoulos taking on Emily Ducote in one of the more interesting line movement fights. I mentioned there's a lot of weird line movement on this card. A lot of people that are getting tighter that I would think would be getting wider. And a lot of fights like this that I think are far closer than the more than 3-1 odds that the bookies have laid out there for us. But we have Vanessa Demopoulos at 10-5. She is 4-1 in her last 5. She's coming off an interesting decision over Kanato Murata. She's taking on Emily Ducote, 13-8 in her career, 3-2 in her last 5, coming off that bounce back win over Ashley Yoder. I'm all choked up here. I do have, while you're talking, I'll go get it. I do have Emily Ducote's fight-worn jersey. And Emily, if you're watching this, I will send it to you. I got that idea from Jacob. Jacob sent his fight-worn gloves to, who the hell was it? Draco Rodrigues. And I have Emily Ducote. I have your fight-worn shirt. And if you want it, I'll send it to you. We got it in a memorabilia box. And I feel like if I was a fighter, those are things that I would want to keep. Either way, we got Emily Ducote, the former Invicta fighting champion. She has slick counter striking, pretty good power, very good wrestling defense. She is durable. She is accurate. What she does do well is she'll throw straight punches right down the middle. She has a ton good volume, not a ton. She's got good volume, and she has had some mixed success in the UFC. But if you look a little closer, you're going to see she's 2-2. Oh, 500 record in the UFC. But she lost to two very good people in Lupi Godinez and Angela Hill. And then she beat the two people she was supposed to beat, Jessica Penne and Ashley Yoder. And she had takedowns and busier striking in that most recent fight. She's taking on Vanessa Demopoulos. Vanessa Demopoulos right now is a 3-1 underdog. She's a solid striker. She likes to fight in the pocket. She does not really have any power, but she's got good volume, good footwork. If she gets it to the ground, she's got solid grappling, and she can make something happen. She's coming off a decision win, which doesn't make a ton of sense if the only thing you did was look at stats, because the stats say she was taken down 5 times. She gave up 10 minutes of control time in a 15-minute fight, and she landed 3 fewer significant strikes. And it wasn't the greatest decision in the world, but if you watch that fight, Vanessa was the one initiating. Vanessa was the one moving forward. Vanessa was the one who was looking to win the fight, where it just felt like Kanako Murata was just trying to get takedowns and hold down. Everybody that hates control time as a scoring mechanism loved the outcome of that fight. Emily is more than a 3-1 favorite. She wasn't even a 3-1 favorite yesterday. Just yesterday, she was -2 something. She is now -340. And I do think Emily wins this fight. She should be a little bigger, a little stronger. Her punches are straight. She's got great takedown defense. But Vanessa Demopoulos has some dog in her. She'll move forward. She'll stay busy. She's not going to quit. I think this is a 29-28 fight. I think the over 2.5 is as good as gold in this fight. And the fact that we have a 3.5-1 favorite is very bizarre to me. Somebody saw that Emily was a 3-1 favorite and then put money on that. And then it widened even more. And that's not a knock on Emily. I'm trying to give Vanessa more credit here. Vanessa has dog in her, and she will move forward. She just got taken down 5 times and didn't quit. 10 minutes of control time. Kept getting up, kept trying to make something happen. I think this is a 29-28 fight. And I think a +3.5 on Vanessa makes some sense. I didn't see what those odds are yet, but I am going to look a little closer at that. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Vanessa. I mean, when we're talking about underdogs and people that I look for lock of the week, I love people that you can tell are going to fight for your money, that are going to be there at the end. Even if there's adversity, they are going to push forward no matter what. And Vanessa is one of those girls. I mean, Little Monster is like the perfect nickname for her, because she seems bubbly and fun, and she seems like the most incredible person in the world. She gets in there and she turns into a different person. And I agree, there is a world where just her tenacity is enough to make this fight very, very interesting. But from a skill-to-skill level, in my opinion, Emily Ducote is just heads and shoulders above Vanessa, especially in the striking. She's just such a technical striker, where Vanessa, she shines on the ground, either on top or on the bottom in her guard. She's on active guard. That's how she won her last fight. And in the striking, she's just a little bit too loopy. And I think Emily is going to just be able to do whatever she wants in the striking. If I'm Emily, I keep this standing. I do whatever I want in the striking. Touch, touch, touch. 30 seconds to go, you shoot that takedown. You're going to get the takedown. She'll let you get the takedown, and then you're out of the danger. Because in my opinion, Vanessa's, I don't want to say her only way to win, because she can tough out, weird striking volume and be that nasty girl. But in my opinion, I think her most logical path to victory is there's a lot of grappling in this, and she ends up finding a submission because she's so active and so flexible in that guard. But even if it goes to the ground, I think Emily is good enough to stay safe. So I think Emily is the way better striker. I think she can stay safe on the ground. Another one of these, we just talked about with Kleydson, is maybe an inside the distance decisional action for Vanessa, because if she does win, I think it's got to be by a submission victory and some weird scramble or something, and she's probably not going to get finished. I mean, Vanessa is a very, very tough girl. It's +155. I don't think that's too bad value there. Just on a little bit of a flyer, but I got to go Emily Ducote here. I get the odds. Honestly, I think she is just that much better. I respect the toughness. It could get interesting as women's MMA, but I think she just got such an advantage on the feet and won't really mess around with the grappling.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm just skill-wise, I get what you're saying, just straight up technique. But Vanessa does have dog. Like, she'll just fight you. She will just get into a fist fight with you. You said the +155. That wasn't +3.5, right? Did you see what those odds were?
+160, so about the same.
Oh, all right. Here is Emily's fight-worn jersey. And there is some blood on here. Yeah, there's a little bit of blood on there. Emily, if you want this back, I'm happy to send it to you. I'm not going to charge you or anything. I assume the UFC pays them, right? I assume the UFC says, oh, we'll give you $100 for your kid or whatever. And then that's it. I imagine. Otherwise, why are you giving it up? Like I would think these are all keepsakes that you look at when you're old lady Rose from the Titanic thinking back of your MMA career. $7,000 in DraftKings, you're going to spend that money on Vanessa.
I didn't pick her. I'm not spending that.
Yeah, I know, but you need dogs in your lineup, and that's a wild price point for somebody that does have high volume. But that side I'll consider. I don't think Emily's worth the 9,200, only because I don't see her grappling. I don't see her getting a ton of takedowns. I don't see her shooting and hanging out on top. And DraftKings either favors insane volume or grappling, and I don't think we're going to get either one of those. You think she's worth that 9,200? She covers her salary?
No, because if she wins, it should be just boring striking. Honestly, keep distance and maybe a couple takedowns just late, just to solidify rounds or whatever. But yeah, and I don't think Vanessa's going to get any takedowns.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably, well, no, Emily's got fantastic takedown defense, and you're probably right. The score's probably going to be 70, 80 maybe, which is not going to cover her $9,200 salary. If you don't know what those numbers are, every single week we get comments on this video, on TikTok, wherever, saying, what are those giant DraftKings numbers at the top? That's for DraftKings Fantasy. If you don't know what it is, check it out. I'm sure it is legal in your state, even if gambling is not. DraftKings Fantasy is basically fantasy football, but for fights. You have a budget of $50,000. You have to pick 6 fighters. You build your lineup based off of their salaries, and then you use that lineup that you built and you compete with other people. You can compete for $1. You can compete in a huge tournament and try to get $100,000. It's a ton of fun. It can be easy. It can be impossible. It all depends on what type of contest you're entering. But if you do want some insight, if you want some DraftKings picks, if you want a tool like the Optimizer that will build DraftKings lineups for you, that and everything else is available for only $10 a month. Just go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. We do have another super chat from Dr. Y. Dr. Y said, you used to be able to get lap dances from Demopoulos for a lot less than you paid for Ducote's walkout shirt. That is a reference to Vanessa Demopoulos' career. She has left that career. She is now in the octagon. She's not shy about it, though. Yeah, listen, the memorabilia box that this came in was $1,000. Okay? Biggest ripoff of all time. If you want to watch Jacob and I unbox those, we do have a video on the channel with our disappointment. Thank you very much, Dr. Y. Next up, at UFC Vegas 92, we have a returning Ariane Carnelossi taking on Piera Rodrigues. Piera Rodrigues is 9-1 in her career. She is 4-1 in her last 5. She is coming off a grappling loss to Jillian Robertson. She's taking on a returning Ariane Carnelossi, who's 14-3 in her career, 3-2 in her last 5, and she's coming back after 2 full years away. Piera Rodrigues, pretty nasty. She's a nasty striker. She's got some real finishing upside. She plots forward. She lets her hands fly. She knows exactly what she's doing, but she does wing punches from her hips, and she'll put everything into them. She's pretty good. Takedown defense at 66%. She's defensively sound on the ground if she is taken down. Plenty of takedown offense as well, with 12 takedowns in 4 fights. Her issue, however, is control. She'll take you down and you can work your way back up. You can squirm out of there. She's coming off that loss to Jillian Robertson where she was shooting takedowns when she shouldn't have been, which just completely exposed her fight IQ. As Jacob alluded to earlier, low fight IQ is kind of hard to trust, especially in this case. She's fighting the Terminator. She's fighting an American Gladiator. This is Storm from the American Gladiators. Ariane Carnelossi's bicep is bigger than my head. And she is returning after 2 years. I didn't know why. I looked it up. I didn't really see it. I assumed it was a USADA issue. She looks like there would be a USADA issue here, but it was not. She had back surgery. Ariane Carnelossi is very aggressive. She's very strong, obviously. She's willing to fight in a fire, and she's got good takedown defense, very nice ground and pound if she ends up on top. I say ends up on top because she doesn't have great takedowns. She doesn't really shoot a ton of them, but she can bully you to the ground. She's coming off that decision loss. It was 2 years ago, but that decision loss to Lupi Godinez. And it is an interesting breakdown here. I am a huge fan of fading long layoffs. I will say, Tisha Torres or Tisha Pennington looked pretty good after a 2-year layoff. Looked very good after a 2-year layoff, and a lot of people think she won that fight. That does have me questioning a little bit, but I think a 2-year layoff with a couple of major surgeries in the mix aren't going to bode well for Ariane. Ariane already didn't have the best cardio. She's not the most skilled fighter. She's just a bruiser. And I think Pinheiro Rodrigues can come forward, wing the punches, bully a little bit, get her own takedowns, and she'll be pushed up against the cage, and this will be a very sloppy fight. But I think the inactivity is going to be working against her as Pinheiro Rodrigues is just going to move forward, winging punches from the hip at full speed. I am going to pick Pinheiro Rodrigues here. If there was not a long layoff in the mix, I might be on the Carnelossi side, but Pinheiro Rodrigues, fresh. We did see a little bit of low fight IQ out of her, but I actually wouldn't mind seeing that in this fight. Let me see the takedowns in this fight. So Pinheiro Rodrigues is going to be my pick, but, I mean, look at this physical specimen. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I mean, Muay Thai black belt, Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I think she was a national Brazilian wrestling champion. I do not know why Ariane Carnelossi is the biggest dog. I get, that it was, a little bit of a layoff, and she did get mauled by the best Loopy we've ever seen. Loopy's never looked like that before or after that fight. That was a locked-in wrestling game plan Loopy that really just kind of muscled her. But she showed in that fight, and there was no quitting her. I mean, every single time she was taken down, she was doing everything she could to get back to her feet, and I love that. We talked about last time with Vanessa, right? You feel like Vanessa's always going to be in the fight because she's just always going to be working towards that win. I think Ariane is the same way. You guys know, a few weeks ago that I had Cynthia picked against Piera. That fight ended up dropping for the same reasons. I thought Cynthia was a little bit nastier, a little bit meaner in those positions. She was going to work through them. I've seen Piera, get taken down by Kay Hansen. Right, getting taken down by Jillian Robinson. Those aren't the best. Those are really good grapplers. I mean, those are kind of small, jiu-jitsu type takedowns, taken down pretty easily, controlled a little bit, submitted by Jillian. Obviously, if you go to ground by Jillian, you're going to get submitted, but not a lot of fight once she loses that position, right? I think she even tried to fake a tap, oh, I didn't tap. That type of bullshit is what I see in a girl like Piera. I think she's talented, but I don't think she's the better striker. I definitely don't think she's the better wrestler or grappler. And if it push comes to shove, we get late second round. This is a close fight. We're going into the third round, 1-1. I think I can trust Ariane. I've seen her really try to tough through situations. I've seen the Instagram. She looks like she's been working hard, really working on that boxing as well, looking crisp. She's in the same camp as Jean Matsumoto, who we just saw steamroll Dan Argueta. Really high-level dude everywhere. Striking, grappling, everything. It's a great camp to be in. She was in his corner. I assume that he's going to be in hers as well. I think she's going to be more than ready off the layoff, and I think there's a chance she can steamroll Piera here. So I just think she's better everywhere, and I'm going Ariane.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. If there was not a layoff here, I'm very layoff heavy. Layoffs are not good, and it's very hard to look good after a layoff. Obviously, we just saw Tisha Pennington do it, but that is the oddity. That is not the normal case. I do think if Ariane gets taken down, if Pinheiro Rodrigues comes forward and gets all of those takedowns that she has been getting, what did I say? She had 12 takedowns in her last 4 fights. If she gets that game plan, gets that going, I think Ariane is going to be in a little bit of trouble. She does not fight very well off her back. She's not really throwing things up, but she is strong as shit, so taking her down is not going to be easy. Are you worried about her getting taken down?
She'll be fine. This isn't Loopy on top of her. This is Piera Rodrigues. She'll sweep Piera and outwork her eventually.
Yeah, it will be. I agree. These odds are probably a little bit wide, especially after we just saw Piera Rodrigues get a little bit exposed. What I will say is I saw a few comments like getting submitted by Jillian Robertson's a joke. Jillian Robertson quite literally has the most amount of submissions in this division. She has the record for most strawweight women's submissions. She might even have the record for most women's submissions. So it's not... Like you said, you literally said if you end up on the ground with Jillian Robertson, you might get submitted. So I wouldn't shame her for the getting submitted. She should not have been shooting takedowns to get there to begin with, though. But I wouldn't mind that in this fight.
And this is a complete 180 to me because she was I was against her as lock of the week with Liang Na. Liang Na was almost the greatest lock of the week of all time. Dropped her with the very first punch, but another example of adversity, right? She got dropped with the very first punch, found a way to work through it. Liang Na, a very, very, the same thing could happen here. A very high-level grappler was all over in that first round. Ariane kept making her work, and ended up gassing her out, and Ariane was able to get that second round finish. I think the same thing, maybe Piera gets that early takedown. Ariane's going to make you fucking work. And we'll see who has the dog in him once that second round starts.
Dude, my neighbor is beeping his horn. He's in his driveway, beeping his horn. And I was like, what the hell is that? And then I get a text. Ange, did you hear my horn? And I said, yeah. And he goes, way to work through it. He's literally just trying to fuck with me during the stream. It's Did you hear it? This is too good of a microphone. Yeah, it has too good of a microphone.
Oh,
Did you hear it? Yeah, what a fucking asshole. This is what I deal with. Anyway, $8,800 in DraftKings. I imagine you're going to use up a prime spot in your lineup for Pinheiro Rodrigues.
Ariane will be in mine.
I agree. I actually think Ariane's probably not a terrible price point at $7,400 because if she does win, she should score well. So just do some mauling and be huge. If she loses, it probably is still a decision and she'll just get taken down a ton of times. Might put up a few decent points. I actually think if I have to pick between these two for my DraftKings lineup, Ariane makes a little bit more sense. And if you do want to unlock all the picks, the bets, the round line leans, and more, WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It is only $10 for an entire month. Next up, at UFC Vegas 92, we have Tamires Vidal taking on Melissa Gatto in a somewhat short notice fight. Just 2 days ago, Melissa Gatto was the biggest favorite on this card. She was -4 whatever the hell, something wildly unreasonable. And that line seems to be tightening. It seems to be closing up just a little bit. We got Tamires Vidal, 7-2 in her career, 4-1 in her last 5. She is coming off of her first UFC loss. She's taking on Melissa Gatto. That means cat. 8-2 in her career, 3-2 in her last 5. She's looking to come back after a canceled fight at UFC Atlantic City. And I get why people are hating on Tamires Vidal here. Her last outing was not great. She was a little bit exposed in that fight. But if you zoom out, you look at the rest of her career and her skill set, she's pretty good. She's a former soccer player. She's got a BJJ brown belt. She immediately starts looking to get fights to the ground and work some takedowns. She throws those big typical overhands and press you against the cage. Once she gets you to the ground, she's chasing submissions. She's dangerous on top. She can be dangerous off her back. She's always looking for something. The striking, that's what happens when I talk too fast. The striking is almost non-existent. It's literally just the bombs to close the distance. There's nothing else there. She is coming off that loss to Montserrat Rendon. She was a bit embarrassed. She was a favorite, and that didn't go well for her. She was taken down 3 times. Got none of her own. But I think we have seen how good Montserrat Rendon actually is since then. But she's taking on Melissa Gatto. Melissa Gatto is a grappler. People are doing 1 + 1 = 2. Montserrat Rendon took Tamires down. So will Melissa Gatto. And I get it. If you look at her fight, she's got very good BJJ. The problem for her, though, is her BJJ is better off her back than it is on top. So if you do take her down, she'll hang out. No sense of urgency, doesn't try to stand up. She'll just hang out and try to get submissions off her back. She is primarily a grappler. She does have some decent striking, though. It'll be technical. She'll throw things out there. She'll hang out for a striking fight. But then she's going to work in takedowns. They can be hit or miss. They're not very good, or at least they're not good enough to shoot full-blown takedowns from distance. But if she sets them up with the strikes, then she could have a little bit of success there. She is coming off that loss to Ariane Lipski, though, where she went 0 for 7 in takedown attempts. Melissa Gatto is no longer the biggest favorite on the card. But when she was, it made less than no sense. Okay, Melissa Gatto is coming up in weight. She's moving up a weight class. She's stepping up on somewhat short notice. She's coming off 2 losses in a row. Her last fight, she went 0 for 7 in takedown attempts. She hasn't won a fight in 2 years. I understand picking Melissa Gatto to win this fight. I understand saying Tamires was just taken down a couple of times and it could happen again. I get that logic. But for her to be these odds, I think are crazy. I think Melissa Gatto should be a -150 favorite if you believe in the wrestling. I'm actually going to go the other way and pick Tamires Vidal here. I think her last fight was more about how good Montserrat Rendon is and less about Tamires being a fraud. She is big. She's strong. She has those big soccer legs that she can kick. If she gets takedowns of her own, she's very dangerous, and she has a BJJ brown belt. Of course, she can be taken down and ridden out. We literally just watched that happen. But we've also seen Melissa not get takedowns. I'm leaning Vidal here. She's going to be the pick. And I wish I had the nuts to bet on her when she was plus 380 or whatever the hell she was just 2 days ago. I have a feeling you and I are going to disagree. What do you think, Jakey Bombolotes?
Yeah, Vidal showed in her last. She's just not good. I don't even think she's UFC level. The worst part about it was in a close fight, she wasn't good in that fight. She was sloppy in that fight. She looked like she didn't give a shit in that fight. And the worst part about it, that was such a close fight still, because Rendon is not that great of a fighter either. That was such a close.
Come on.
That was such.
Who did Rendon just get screwed out of beating?
The Russian. I was at the fight. That was such a close fight until the end, and Vidal still. It's like if she just did anything more, and gave any more effort than she gave in that fight, she could have won that fight even in a bad performance, but she didn't. I mean, she just looked like she just did not give a shit, didn't have that push, didn't have that fire. She looks like she is one of those girls that is all hammer and no nail, and the second you push back a little bit, she's just like lackadaisical. Her corner's just like screaming at her to do this and that. She just won't do it. I think she had like a one blitz in each round where like, oh my God, there she is. And then she's like, and just starts being lazy about it. Melissa has fought better competition. Those were tough fights. She got out grappled by Tracy, but that's what Tracy does. She outstruck by Ariane, but that's going to happen. I don't think Vidal is a UFC level fighter. I think Melissa can do whatever she wants in this fight. She's going to be way better in the striking, way better in the grappling, and I think she can get those takedowns that Vidal's just going to eventually give up. If not in the first round, eventually in the second round, I think she can finish this girl on the ground. So I'm very high on Melissa Gatto.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I totally get the logic picking Melissa Gatto. I get it. I do think Tamires Vidal is better than her last fight. You're right. That was not a good, that was embarrassing.
Sometimes
and she was
who you are. And I mean, she was fucking terrible.
Wasn't she like a minus 400 favorite too? Like she was a tremendous favorite in that fight.
Yeah, because I thought, literally, I thought that's who she was. And then she literally laid up and acted like she didn't care while doing it. That's the worst part. Like, if you come in, UFC debut, and you're having issues, but you're trying to work through it, and you look like you're at least giving effort, it's like, okay, you can clean that up, right? We've seen what you did in the past, but the mental attitude in that fight was like, just sloppy and lazy, and just like, you could tell that she could go for it, because she had those spurts where she's like, boom, 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 and then she was just like, duh, duh, duh. It's like, you don't outgrow that.
I agree. And honestly, that's what Loopy struggles with. Loopy is very talented, but sometimes just doesn't give a shit. Does weird things. So I get all of that. And I don't have a bet on Tamires Vidal. But I haven't given on her just yet. Somebody commented, please don't call Montserrat good or decent. She is utter shit. I don't think Montserrat Rendon sucks.
I don't think she's very good.
We do. We have completely different reads on some of these women. Listen, and we all know
why I loaded up on Vidal. I think she was like a 2 or 3 unit bet for me in that fight, because I'm like, oh, Rendon is slow. She can't do anything. And she came in that fight first round. I'm like, oh, this will be easy, because Rendon was slow, couldn't do anything, and then Vidal just shit the fucking bed.
Listen, and then she just came out and basically won that last fight because she came forward and she grappled. She can grapple. She can get takedowns. This entire fight, I think we both agree, is just going to come down to, can Melissa Gatto take down Vidal, right?
No, she can win the striking. If there's no takedown, she'll easily win the striking.
Yeah, I just don't think there'll be a lot of striking, because Tamires just bombs and runs against the cage.
There was pretty much all striking in that last fight, where there shouldn't have been, probably.
Yeah, but that was because Rendon was the much better wrestler in that matchup.
Gatto's a better wrestler here.
You're not worried about the up and weight?
No, she's a strong girl. I think she might excel at 135, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, she is jacked. She's not Ariane Carnelossi, but she is jacked. Well, Jakey Boy and I are split on this fight. We are two different people. Somebody sent an email the other day saying, hey, you guys are split. What should I do? So then you are the tiebreaker. Jacob and I are completely different human beings that read fights differently, see things differently. We occasionally have bets on opposite sides of fights. So we're not going to agree on every single thing, and then it's going to be up to you to pick a side or just ignore the fight. We are absolutely split on this. I'm not 100% confident in Tamires Vidal, but I am also not. I mean, I disagree with these odds. This should be minus 150. I think that's what this should be.
It would be my biggest bet of the year.
If it was minus 150, $10,000. Well, either way, we don't have DraftKings pricing for it just yet because this is a short notice fight. Melissa Gatto was in camp. She was ready to go for UFC Atlantic City a month ago. That was canceled. I don't know what she's been doing since then, if she's been working out or not, but here she is. Doesn't have to cut the weight, stepping up, getting herself a fight. If you do want to check out the bets.
I've got 2 bets on her. So
there you go. If you do want to check out the bets that Jacob has with Melissa Gatto, you can do so now. Just go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. It's only $10 for an entire month. We have UFC 302 is the next event that will be included for the $10. So 5 for this, 5 for that. $250 for a week. Easiest decision you'll ever make. WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. We have another 5 spot from Dr. Y. I want you to fight your neighbor and teach him how to behave like Jacob is today. All right, first of all, I'm happy to smack that pale dork, if you're watching, that short, pale dork neighbor of mine. Also, there is no such thing as teaching Jacob to behave. Jacob is more his own person than anybody I have ever met in my entire life. As frustrating as that is, it is admirable. You cannot force him to do anything. He'll just dig in. If you want him to do something he doesn't want to do it, it's literally impossible to get him to do it. I have learned, how long we've been doing this? 3 years?
just say no.
We've had, and I wouldn't say we've had like major fights, but there were many times where I am a bully and I tried to bully you into doing stuff like, Jacob, where the fuck is it? And you're just like, nah, fuck you, I'm not doing that shit. And then I just wouldn't hear from you for a week. So,
well, I mean, literally so we could keep this channel going, I said, don't fucking pay me because I'd rather just fucking do it and not have to deal with your bullshit.
And that was early on when Jacob was doing all the graphics because I mean, I get, you guys can figure out by now, I'm kind of a workhorse. I was talking to somebody else in this space last week, and they're pretty big in this space, and we were just having a conversation about a couple things, and he like made an offer. They were just texting, I'm way tanner than you. What an insecure, so insecure. Beige shirt looks, oh, okay. Very insecure of you. And he was like, would you want to do this or are you addicted to the work? And I was like, I'm addicted to the work. I'm addicted to it. I'm obsessed with the numbers. And that's why there's a video every Sunday, whatever. And where I'm going with this is that's how I am across the board. So when Jacob was doing the graphics, I was like, I need the graphic. I need this. I need that. And he's like, no, fuck you. We don't need that right now. And so then he was like, listen, I'm just going to stop doing the graphics. And this is before we made any real money. I'm just going to stop doing the graphics, so don't pay me. And then obviously things have changed. We've sorted it all out. But this is all back to that super chat. There is no putting Jacob in line. If he wants to be loud, he'll be loud. If he wants to be calm, he'll be calm. Jacob is his own person, and that's what I love him for. The neighbor is insisting I read this text. You'd think you were naked if it wasn't covering up your tattoo or nipple rings. First of all, nipple rings gone. Okay. Isn't your family awake? Shouldn't you be spending time with your family? Some people. Next up. And also, I ate lunch with this neighbor and I watched him eat a Jersey Mike sandwich. 2 bites, wide open. 2 bites. So I think maybe we calm ourselves with the comments, buddy boy. Next up, at UFC Vegas 92, we have Thomas Nolan taking on Victor Martinez in a fight with some very wide odds that have moved slightly in each direction only to level off where they are now. I think people see the odds. They see that Tom Nolan just lost, and then they want to bet the other side, and then people look at the other side, and they go right back to Tom Nolan. People don't necessarily know what to do with this fight because of the odds and because Tom Nolan is winless in the UFC, but he is a very talented, very dangerous guy, and that's why these odds are what they are. We got Victor Martinez at 13-5. He is 4-1 in his last 5. He is coming back after a year layoff. He's taking on Tommy Knowles, 6-1 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5, coming off his first career loss. Tom Nolan is a long, lean, rangy striker. I have compared him physically to Corey Sandhagen in the past. He's got that same sort of lurchy shoulder, that same stance, but a very different striking style. He's not herky-jerky. It is very clean. It is straight. It is very technical. He has no problem getting into a brawl, though. And outside of that last fight, he does have a solid chin. You go watch the rest of his tape. You watch the regional stuff. He gets blasted with overhand rights and just keeps moving forward, doesn't flinch. He's got good pressure, lots of volume, tons of power, but the takedown defense is a bit lacking. He is coming off that loss against Nicolas Mata. He's taking on Victor Martinez. This guy's a fast, powerful striker who has that Mexican fighting spirit. He's not going to quit on you. His kicks are not great. And the reason I say that is because he'll leave them out there. He won't even hide them behind punches. He'll just throw a lazy kick. It'll get caught. He'll get taken down. His boxing, however, is very clean. His BJJ defense is solid. His scramble and skills and get-up game is decent as well. He is definitely a striker, but you might see the occasional takedown here or there, and I expect him in this fight to try to squeeze one in. He's coming off that knockout loss to the unbelievable striker, Jordan Levitt. And that's a quality loss in the striking department. Jordan Levitt knocking you out. I mean, that is just what is going to happen. Like Jamal Hill got knocked out. Yeah, all right. You fought Alex Pereira. And if you come down to this weight class, you got knocked out by Jordan Levitt. That happens, man. Jordan Levitt hits like a freight train. You got to go with Tom Nolan here. He should be much better, more technical, hit just as hard, if not harder. The length, the reach could all be issues as well. The problem is, he is winless in the UFC. He did just lose that fight, knocked out. We don't know how some of these young guys bounce back. He's fighting another striker. I don't know if he's going to come in here, not a care in the world. Like, I don't care. I got knocked out. No big deal. Fight the way that he always fights. Or is he going to come in here, be tentative, be afraid to commit? All of a sudden, he's looking for cage control because he doesn't want to stand in the pocket and let it go. I think Tom Nolan wins. These odds worry me just a touch. What do you think, Baby Green?
It is of my opinion that Tom Nolan getting knocked out, I mean, it was going to happen eventually, right? The way that he fights, as reckless as he gets and as much as he was getting hit, it was going to happen eventually. And honestly, it's probably better that it happened when it did, right? You don't want to win a few in a row. You're almost to the rankings or whatever. Then it happens, you know. That was a nice wake-up call that you can't come in against UFC caliber fighters and just bulldoze, right? You can't bully people. And you're going to have to eventually learn that lesson. I believe he probably did learn that lesson. We'll see if he changed up his style a little bit. Even if he doesn't change up his style, I don't think Victor's that type of dude. I don't think Victor's got, life-changing power. He's not really fast with the hands. He's not really dynamic anywhere. I think he could, extend this fight more than people think. But Tom Nolan's, even his old style, I think would be fine here to get this finish. But even if he comes in a little bit more tentative and is a little bit more of a dynamic striker, or maybe mixes his own takedown off the rip and just tries to get ground and pound like we've seen in the past, I think Tom Nolan should be fine here. I mean, if he loses this fight, he definitely is not a dude. But I think he should be fine here.
Yeah, I mean, I think he wins as well. I completely agree. I think he wins. And I might just be a little too conservative this year. We've had a lot of big upsets. We've had a lot of these UFC, young in their career contender series guys just not be who we thought they were going to be. Tom Nolan should be far better. And getting knocked out by Jordan Levitt is just not a good thing. Somebody said, and I don't think this is sarcasm. That's the only reason I'm saying it. I can't pick a dude coming off a KO to a gay guy, and I can't pick a minus 400 coming off a loss. Jordan Levitt's not. He's got a wife and kids. He just acts that way to be funny. Not that affects anything here, but just to clarify. Victor Martinez getting finished by Jordan Levitt standing up is of some concern. Tom Nolan's going to be the pick. If you want to do something with him, that's fine. I just would not be overly exposed. You going to spend the $9,500 in the DK?
He should get a finish, honestly.
Probably. I think there's more value in him in DraftKings than maybe some bets, unless you're going to go proppy.
This is probably one of those fights where in the first 30 seconds you're going to wish that you had Tom Nolan in a parlay. Yeah.
No, I mean, you're probably not wrong. Honestly, I went the other route. I went the other route. When I picked against Veronica Hardy, I had the same thought you had. As soon as I saw how fast Veronica Hardy was and how sloppy JJ Aldrich was trying to get her against the cage, and Veronica was like, wah, wah, like just lightning fast, I was like, shit. I immediately was like, shit. And this fight could be exactly that. As soon as Tom Nolan just bang, bang, right up the middle, it's like, damn it.
Yeah, Victor's not going to be.
Damn
he's going to have to tough this out. He's not very fast.
Yeah. No, well, and tougher than out's not going to be the easiest task in the world either. I do think Tommy Knowles is solid at $9,500 in your DraftKings fantasy lineup. If you do want to check out all the picks, the bets, the round line leans, and more, it's only $10 for an entire month. It's going to include every single event in that 30-day period. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. It is quite literally the best, most valuable product in this space at that price point. If you could find something that even resembles what we offer anywhere near that price point, I'll give you premium for free. Next up, at UFC Vegas 92, we have the featured prelim of the evening. We have Abus Magomedov taking on Warlley Alves. Abus Magomedov, bit of a skid. 2 losses in a row. He was supposed to be that guy. Even though he came into the UFC with a couple of losses, he was supposed to be that guy. He doesn't seem to be, though. But if you dig in a little bit, you're going to see the losses are kind of quality losses. Maybe not the way he lost, but they're to quality opponents. Abus Magomedov, 25-6 overall. 3-2 in his last 5. He is riding a 2-fight skid. He's taken on Warlley Alves, 14-7 in his career. Only 1-4 in his last 5. He is riding a 3-fight skid. Abus Magomedov was supposed to be that guy. And I think this matchup is to get him back to being that guy. He's a versatile striker. He's got decent wrestling as a backup plan. He's got very sneaky power because it doesn't look like he's throwing anything big. It doesn't look like he's throwing things with intent, but he can touch people and they will go down. He's a long striker. He does a great job using that length to counter and to keep people at the end of his strikes. He will throw everything, tight hooks, head kicks, straights right up the middle, but he is also pretty hittable. He does recognize if he's on the wrong end of some striking exchanges, and then he will adjust accordingly and shoot some shots. He had that first loss to Sean Strickland where he got finished, but Sean moved on, became the middleweight champion of the world. And now he currently just came off of a also respectable, but not great loss to Caio Borralho. You're kind of hoping he was going to keep that fight standing and piece up Caio, and he just wasn't able to do that. He's taking on Warlley Alves. Warlley Alves is giving Diego Ferreira from last week type vibes. He comes out, he swings heavy. He's a BJJ black belt. He throws wild. He'll set up takedowns. He'll use BJJ. Nothing he does is great, but everything he does is powerful. He is kind of a dog. He can be finished, but he lays it all out there. Even though he's not technical on his feet, he's very dangerous. He's always hunting for a knockout. He bombs away looking for a finish. He is coming off that knockout loss to Ikram Aliskirov, where he did have good forward pressure, and he did take a bunch of shots before he was finished, and Ikram is very, very good. I do think Abus wins this fight. I also don't think he's the guy that everybody thought he was going to be. The odds sort of reflect that. Open at -475, bet down to -300. 3-1 makes sense. He's taking on a guy that is 1-4 in his last 5. He's taking on the easiest opponent he has had in a few years, and that's not a slight to Warlley Alves, but Abus has been fighting maybe top 5. You think Caio Borralho's top 5 at middleweight?
Probably.
Yeah, so he's fighting 2 guys in the top 5, one of them who immediately moved on to become champion. So I do think Abus Magomedov wins this fight. He is a dangerous guy himself, but his confidence might be lacking, and he might be a little risk adverse here after getting knocked out by Sean Strickland. So I do think Abus wins this fight, and I think the over 1.5 is a sneaky good bet. I think this fight's going to go a little long. What do you think, Jakey Bombalotes?
Yeah, Abus ain't that dude, man. I mean, he's a talented dude. And definitely there's a chance that he finishes a guy like Warlley in the first round because he's got the striking and the talent to beat people. But as far as being a quitter, being a non-competitor, as I would say, that's never going to go away. You saw that in Strickland, just turtle up, whatever. So he comes in the next fight, and you're going to say, oh, he improved his cardio. He learned his lesson. He improved his cardio in the second fight. No, the fuck he didn't. They just basically stared at each other for 2 rounds. The second the pace picked up again, he was in the 3rd round tired. He didn't automatically quit right then, but it's the same old bullshit, the same old cardio bullshit. I think this is going to play out, in my opinion, exactly how it's a little bit different, but I think this is Billy Golf and Trey Waters, right? If Billy Golf stayed at distance against Trey Waters, he was going to lose that fight. What did I say? Billy Golf was a guy that's going to get in the pocket. He's going to make it a fucking nasty fight. And that's exactly what he did. And some people think that he actually won that fight. And I think there's an argument to be made there. The difference is Abus doesn't have the fucking heart that Trey Waters has. Trey Waters hung in there, was landing back, was doing what he needed to do to get in that fight and end up winning that fight. Warlley Alves is a guy that is kind of like a Billy Golf. Now, he can't eat the shots that Billy can eat, probably, but he can make it that nasty fight. You saw him against Ikram, another big prospect. He fucking just went right at Ikram. And people thought, oh, he got knocked out with the knee. He actually kind of ate that knee. And then Ikram was kind of all over him and ended up getting that finish, but he kind of ate that knee. But he went right. He's not going to be scared of Abus. He's going to go right at Abus. And if he survives, which I think he definitely can, being in the pocket. Because Abus strikes, he wants that big front kick, right? He wants those big, long-rangey shots. And what I say about Trey Waters, if he's in the pocket, he's just another dude, man. You take away that length, they just become normal people. And I think Warlley can get in this dude's face early, extend this fight into the second round. And once this gets to the second round, if this is the second round, I don't care what the fuck Abus did in the first round, Warlley's going to win this fight. I think he can find his finish in the second or the third round if Abus can get to that situation. Obviously, it's an issue betting a guy like Warlley because he can be chinned, and I respect the danger of Abus early. But if you're in this dude's face, I think he's just another dude. And if he starts getting desperate with the wrestling because of the pressure, we know Warlley's got that wild-ass guillotine as well to be ready for him. So I'm going Warlley here.
Yeah, that guillotine submitted Kobe Covington back in the day. Listen, I agree with you. I don't agree with you on the pick, but I agree with you that Warlley can make this. We just watched a 40-year-old. Warlley's not even old. He's 33. The problem is he's a bit chinny, though. But we just watched a 40-year-old beat Mataus Rebecki. And just by making it a dogfight. Mataus didn't... People called it a fraud check. Would you consider that fight a fraud check? A little off topic. I don't think so. I thought Mataus went out there and fought his ass off.
Yeah, that was... it was an interesting fight. It was a poor game, and I can't believe that was he's an ATT guy because there should have been more wrestling involved early.
Yes.
I mean, he just went in there head hunting, and he landed a few good shots. I mean, a lot of those shots he landed were fucking.
He dropped him
twice.
Shots. Yeah.
So it's kind of the luck of the draw. Like I said, I'll never trash people for gassing when they're trying to finish a fight, and it was obvious that he was trying to finish a fight, but he should have been more aware that Diego was going to hang in there, and he should have been better in that type of situation. But I mean, I would watch, if you guys think Warlley's a gasser and stuff, watch the third round of that Nicholas Dalby fight and then come back and talk to me about Warlley Alves.
Yeah, listen, I've got respect for Warlley Alves. The only reason I brought up that Rebecca fight, he gives Diego Ferreira vibes. Like, if his chin is there, he's swinging. Like, if he's not knocked out, he is swinging, he is fighting. And we just mentioned, yes, he got finished by Aliskirov. Aliskirov is good as hell. Aliskirov is 10 times the fighter Abus is. And Aliskirov cracked him a bunch of times and didn't put him out immediately. Aliskirov, woo.
He doesn't give a fuck. He'll go right at you.
Yeah, I am still picking Abus. I'm not trying to flip my pick here, but I am adding context. And I said this in my quick picks when the other day, Abus, I think, was minus 240 just the other day. And I was like, I can't believe I'm saying this. I actually think he's decent value there. Because I think Abus is actually going to use the reach, going to stay on the outside, pick him apart. I think he is going to work in a takedown or two. I think Abus is not going to entertain a pocket slugfest. And that's what he needs to do. Don't entertain a slugfest in the pocket, and you can win this fight. Because Warlley will try to take your head off. Forget his jiu-jitsu black belt. Who cares about that? He'll try to take your head off.
I mean, the second Abus gets his back against the fence, he's just going to fold. I mean, it drove me insane that he had that mentality in that Sean Strickland fight. And then you saw it. The thing that drives me crazy in that Kyle fight is like, he's like laughing and having fun in there. There's nothing wrong with that, but are you a guy or are you not? Like he missed a shot on Kyle and he's like, almost had you, bro. And then like Kyle lands a shot and he's like, I mean, some people are about it, and some people are just here to just, do what they got to do. And I think Abus is a little bit fraudulent when it comes to actually being a competitor and being one of those guys. And if push comes to shove, I'll trust Warlley.
Yeah, I mean, especially if it's going to be a drag 'em out war. But I'm definitely avoiding the $9,000 in DraftKings. While if Abus wins, it will be worth that money because Warlley can get finished, and it's not any fault of his own. His chin just gives out. And Abus does have that power. He's got plenty of finishes outside the UFC. I would be careful on this fight. If you want to bet on Abus, bet on him. You want to parlay him, do him and Tom Nolan and leave the parlay there and don't use him again.
You know what this could look like too is the Anthony Smith and Vitor fight, where Vitor just got frustrated early, went to something that he wasn't comfortable with, right? With the wrestling. I think the same thing could happen here. The pressure a little bit too much. All of a sudden, Warlley is hanging around a little bit longer than you thought he was going to. You get a little bit frustrated. You want to change up the game plan. You go to the we could have a carbon copy of this where Abus is a little bit frustrated, goes to the wrestling, and gets fucking guillotined.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
I think it's the same mentality, too, because Vitor, after that fight, like, you don't want to talk about not even for skill-wise, but talk about mentality-wise, for fade. Vitor, an undefeated prospect in his hometown after that loss, wasn't head down, pissed, thinking about it, like, frustrated.
Yeah, he was just smiling.
He was smiling. He didn't give a fuck. He didn't give a fuck. He's a good-looking guy that fights, and he's having fun. He didn't give a fuck about competing. I think Abus is the same type of dude.
I mean, that could be. That quite literally could be. I mean, that's a good point. That's a good point. But we got...
I just hate people that don't fucking compete.
I don't know. Listen, did you see what happened with bare knuckle fighting this past weekend? I didn't watch the fight. I didn't watch the fight. I only saw the owner's press conference.
Thing?
No, I guess somebody like didn't fight. Like just showed up like a pussy. And the owner in the press conference was like, this guy got like the Pussy of the Night award. I don't pay you to come out here and not fight. Like, if you get knocked out, but you went out there and you fought your ass off, you will always have a job here. But if you go out there and just lay down, you're a bum, you're a loser. Like, he, like, went in on him.
Right.
And Dana White did that back in the day to Damian Maia. I think it was Damian Maia.
He just trashed Waldo.
He did trash Waldo. But trashing what, like, all right, he trashed Damian Maia in a main event against Anderson Silva. I can understand that. Dude, trashing Waldo, who fought this 6'7" monster of a human being. What did you want? He's not a wrestler. He wrestled to keep his head attached to his body. What do you want that guy to do? You know what I mean? What else should he have done? You want him to stand there swinging wild and give up his career? Like, no.
Do more on the ground, probably.
He's not. He doesn't know what he's doing on the ground. That's, you know what I mean? Like, he just got it there and was like, oh, okay. Oh, and this guy's not moving? It's like, because if he stood there and he got knocked out cold, Dana wouldn't hesitate to use him as a highlight reel and give him another couple of bad matchups and kick him out of the UFC.
Right.
Dana's a bit of a nudge. If you do want to unlock everything at premium, WeWantPicks.com, click become a member at the top. It is the most robust service in this space, period. End of story. And I have another story for you. I'll give you $50. This is the story of somebody that goes to WeWantPicks.com/bets. They do click on one of the affiliate links and they do make an account. And then we send them $50 as a thank you because we got paid. And that's quite the story. And that story is available to anybody. You don't need to be a premium member. You don't even need to like us. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Use the link, sign up, make a deposit. They will pay us. It's affiliate marketing. I'm going to slice off some of that money and I'm going to give it right back to you. And if you do want to send us some mail, we will open it live. Well, it's not live, but we will open it on the Fight Foods vlog. UFC 302 is coming up. That is the next official mail day. If you want to send something, a letter, great. If you want to send something, you're a small business, I'm happy to wear it, happy to showcase it. Look what we just did for Twill Outdoors and their hammock. We Want Picks, P.O. Box 406, Prosper, Texas 75078. My neighbor... This guy's all over the place. He texted, I'm not even watching anymore, and then sent me pictures from today. And then he texted a screenshot of this stream, and Tarzan Strickland said, Angelo's getting cooked, because I was reading the text from him, and he said, look at the last comment. I'll take that point. Thank you. If I went at him, he's definitely a give it, can't take it kind of guy. So I'm not going to do that to you. Because we both know I'm far wittier and much meaner. Opening up the UFC Vegas 92 main card, we have Themba Gorimbo taking on another very long layoff, yet returning Ramiz Brahimaj. And that is how you pronounce it. Themba Gorimbo, 12-4 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5, coming off back-to-back wins. He's taking on Ramiz Brahimaj, 10-4 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming back after 2 full years outside the cage. So we'll start with that side because a lot of you might not know who he is. But Ramiz Brahimaj is a nasty grappler, a very, very, very good grappler. He doesn't always use it. He doesn't use it as much as he should, but he is a nasty grappler. You might remember him from when he fought Max Griffin and his ear almost fell off of his body. His ear was literally hanging on by a thread. It was disgusting. You might remember him from that. And if you didn't see that, Google it. It is grotesque. And even though he is a very accomplished grappler, as I mentioned, he doesn't always use it. And he does tend to grapple off of his back. And grappling off of your back is a very different game than getting takedowns, hanging out on top, and working from there. All 10 of his wins are by submission, and it is fair to say that he is submission or bust at this point in his career. He is coming back after a full 2-year layoff and a win over Michael Gilmore, where he did have a nice takedown. He's taking on Themba Gorimbo. This guy shot to stardom when The Rock heard his story and bought him an apartment. But since then, he has showed up. 2 solid wins. And he's coming off a very, very quick one-punch knockout over Pete Rodrigues. But Themba is a distance striker. He manages range well. He likes to pick his shots. He is long for this weight class, and he uses that length pretty well. He'll keep you on the outside. He's typically a counter striker, but he will charge forward when he sees his openings. He's got solid takedown defense where he's going to widen his base. He'll make you carry his weight. And he's got solid offense as well with 5 takedowns in 3 UFC fights. I mentioned he just knocked out Pete Rodrigues with 1 punch. And obviously, anytime you get somebody as good on the ground as Ramiz, he can win by submission, obviously. But I think this sport has progressed beyond some of these submission or bust kind of fighters, especially the guys that don't have the dominant wrestling to back it up. Look what's been happening to Mackenzie Dern. If you don't have the dominant grappling, the dominant wrestling, to get it to the ground to grapple, what are you going to do? I think Themba Gorimbo's takedown defense is far too good. I think he's going to be the better striker here. We did just see some power, but don't expect that. He's not really a power guy. And a 2-year layoff, as I railroaded previous fighters for, is just not good. I think Themba Gorimbo is going to win this fight. I don't know why we're continuing to get a bigger and bigger discount on him. So I've got a bet on Themba Gorimbo at the -130 because I think he wins this fight, and I think that's great value. What do you think, Jakey boy?
I just want to say that I was the original Themba stan, if you will, because he was my lock of the week.
Wait, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. I was going to ask. Stan is when you like somebody.
Right.
Simp. Stan and simp are the same thing?
Not particularly. But I was he was my lock of the week back in the day. So I do know Themba well. And he has improved his striking since then. He is a grappler at his core. And I wouldn't, to be honest with you guys, I wish I could load up on Themba. I like Themba. I like his mentality. He is a workhorse. He does, slow down. Luckily in this fight, he's not going to slow down as fast as Ramiz. But I'm worried because Themba is a guy that loses situations. He can get taken down. He can lose scrambles. He's a little bit too over-aggressive in those scramble-type situations on the ground. Ramiz, if this was just a straight jiu-jitsu match, I think Ramiz fucking smokes Themba. I think the jiu-jitsu, it's not even close. And in that first round, I think Ramiz is going to be very, very live in these scrambles. Now, Themba's not a quitter. Even if there's something locked in, he's going to try to fight through that situation. He's going to make Ramiz work. He should have the wrestling to kind of get out a lot of these positions. Themba is going to be my pick because he should be way better on the feet. If it gets out of the first round, I feel great about Themba. Even though he will slow down a little bit, he's going to outwork a guy like Ramiz who got outworked by Court McGee. You saw that happen. Themba should be much better than Court McGee. But I'll be damned if I'm not nervous about the first round. I wanted to really load up. And the only thing that really worries me too is I wanted to load up on Themba money line and just hedge it with a Ramiz first round submission. I think it's like plus 300 or something like that. I felt good about that. I almost did it. And then I was like, man, Ramiz has been off for 2 years. What if he does improve the cardio a little bit? This is probably going to be a mostly grappling matchup no matter what. And if this gets in the second round, all of a sudden he's not as tired as we thought. I've also seen Themba slow down too. So it could get interesting in that second round. That's the only reason I didn't play it that way. I think I might just stay away from this. Root for Themba. He should be able to get it done. But I think there's going to be a spot or two in that first round where people are going to be worried and he could run into a situation.
Yeah, and listen, we all have our biases. Mine are against grapplers who can't wrestle and long layoffs. And so this is just a perfect storm. A grappler who can't wrestle with a long-ass layoff. He's in that last fight, and it was against Michael Gilmore. But in that last fight, he did have a beautiful, that was a nice takedown.
He had some nice timing against Court, but Court can defend. I mean, he had a beautiful level change to a double, and then Court just kind of just sucked it back, and he couldn't get it. But, I mean, you could see that he knew what he was doing at least.
Yeah, well, but Themba, I don't 100% disagree. He's not Mackenzie Dern. It's not pathetic, the wrestling, but it's not as good as I think it'll need to be, because Themba does a really good job. He will spread his legs wide like Sean Woodson does, and he will just lean on your head and make it very hard.
Honestly, I'm not even worried about Themba getting taken down. I'm worried about Themba is going to take this guy down.
He's not control himself?
Yeah, and get too aggressive, and all of a sudden this dude's on your back, and that's a fucking bad thing to have happen.
Like when Corey Poppins' dumbass shot a takedown almost immediately.
Yeah, if I'm Themba, if I'm Themba, I don't grab. He's not gonna do it, but I wouldn't grapple at all. You can probably just knock this guy out or hurt him enough to where once you do start grappling, at least he's tired at that point. If Themba's shooting a takedown the first minute, I mean, MMA Masters has got to clean some shit up.
Do you know why he has that 2-year layoff? I didn't find it Googling super quick, but I just Googled the person's name and
he had
layoff.
A grappling match like 20 weeks ago on his Instagram. He said, my first match since my injury. So it's injury.
Oh, yeah. All right. Did he win?
Yeah. I think he's a no-gi world.
Yeah. He's like a world champion. No, he's an outstanding grappler. It's not even close. I still do like Themba at -130, so I do have that bet. I think it was a half a unit, something like that. And I just placed that today because that line continues to shrink. I don't think it's going to stay shrunk. I think it'll start to widen a little bit. And I do think the UFC did this match. I think the UFC wants to push Themba a little bit. He's got a great story. He is a fun guy. He is getting more and more entertaining in the octagon as well in his fight style. But we got $8,400 in DraftKings, $7,800 in DraftKings. This is probably a pick your side. If you're on the Ramiz side, he will more than cover his salary. And if you're on the Themba side, it's a little riskier because if he doesn't grapple, that's up to striking. But I do think Themba will cover his salary well. He does cover in all of his fights. Oh, I thought you were going to say, man, no, I thought I handled that timing perfect. I paused and everything.
I was with the pause, but then it seemed like you were going to say something too. But I was going to say, I mean, I think either one of these, like you said, I think Ramiz is going to win the first, or Themba could probably win in the second, honestly. Just wear this guy out.
Ramiz does fade a little bit. Ramiz. But if you do want to check out that bet that I just told you about for free, you could pay for it. You could go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. It's only $10 for an entire month, and it's not just a couple of bets. It's 5 people's worth of bets. More. You got the 3 people at Running Mouth MMA. You got Artem. That gets you to 4. You got Jacob. That's 5. You got me. That's 6. And then you have the artificial intelligence that picks the fights. And then we are developing betting systems around those picks. All of that and so much more. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's only freaking $10 an entire month. We do got a couple of Super Chatterooskis. $5 from Jay Feel. You guys make DFS and gambling fun. I look forward to every video. Jacob, let's hope for a 7-game series.
Yeah, Jay Feels a Knicks fan, unfortunately.
Oh,
but he can't.
Oh, so he wants to win it at home?
He can't help that.
What's actually after game 4, it alternates every game, right? Where it is?
It does. You know, they used to not do that until the finals. It used to be 2-3-2. Which was very interesting because if you were the higher seed,
3 at home, yeah.
If you were the higher seed and you dropped one of those first 2 games, you were in big fucking trouble. But it was because of like TV and travel and all. It was just easier to just go 2-3-2, and then once they got to the finals, they went 2-2, 1-1-1 because they could spread it out a little bit more. But now it's much better with 2-2, 1-1-1 every.
That is funny because you kind of give up the home advantage if you're doing 3 games.
And the first round was only 5 games too, which is interesting too because 7. If you play 7, the better team's going to win 98% of the time in a 7-game series based on, except for like injuries or something like that. 5 games, things can get fucking weird.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a giant basketball guy, but sports. Thank you for the $5 super chat, Jay Field. We genuinely appreciate that. Saying we make DFS and gambling fun. That's the goal. I mean, we're out here breaking this stuff down, trying to give you the best possible picks, best possible bets, and everything else. We're trying to make that happen. Holy shit. I'll share this with you in a little bit. So if we're making the night a little bit more fun for you, then congratulations and thank you so much. Big Capper explained what a stan is. That came from the Eminem song, I guess. I remember that song. So thank you very much for that explanation. And then Prominent Talent, $1.99, become a premium member for only $10 a month. Well, I appreciate you for the 2, and I appreciate you plugging premium there as well. Next up, at UFC Vegas 92, we have Angela Hill taking on Luana Pinheiro. Angela Hill, 11-2 overall. 3-2 in... Wait, who the hell did I just read? Oh, Angela Hill. 3-2 in her last... No, I read this backwards. Luana Pinheiro, 11-2 overall. 4-1 in her last 5. She is coming off that KO loss to Amanda Ribas. Taking on Angela Hill, 16-3 overall. 3-2 in her last 5. Coming off the decision win over Denise Gomes. This is another tricky fight. It opened dead even. Angela Hill, the veteran, the tried and true, the older, more experienced fighter in this matchup, getting the nod in the betting odds. Angela Hill has that high fight IQ. She is a veteran, mostly a striker with speed, volume, lots of versatility, no power whatsoever. She is talented. She's sort of become the gatekeeper. They're using her to measure where other fighters are in their sort of range here. She's good everywhere, but she's not a threat. Her path to victory in this fight, just like every other fight, is stick and move, get on your bike, make something happen. She did just come off that win over Denise Gomes, where she was a wrestler. She had 5 takedowns in that fight. She's taking on Luana Pinheiro. She's a powerful striker, solid takedowns, and decent BJJ. She's averaging more than 2 takedowns per fight and has no problem swinging wild while running forward. She's a high-volume fighter with knockdowns in 2 of her 5 UFC fights. She's coming off the loss to Amanda Ribas, where she had a takedown, but then she got finished in the 3rd. Angela Hill could quite literally be the least dangerous fighter in this division. She's almost 40 years old. She doesn't really have any power, but she doesn't have any signs of aging or slowing down either. She continues to be fast, stick and move, be that high fight IQ style fighter. She doesn't really take any wins or risks, and she'll grind out these decision wins. She's beaten plenty of talented fighters. I see more of the same here. I think eventually she's going to look old, but I don't think it's going to be on Saturday night. I think she's going to win a pot shot type decision here over Luana Pinheiro. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, honestly, it's always crazy, honestly, to kind of put your money on Angela Hill, but then you think about it, and she's a durable girl and is always in close fights and finds the way to just kind of out-tough shit. I might put a bet on Angela Hill. I have all the respect in the world for Luana. She's a tenacious fighter. She's going to come in. She could look great in the first, 3, 4, first round of this fight, but she does slow down. If she doesn't get that finish, I don't think she's going to get a finish against a girl that just is so well-rounded as Angela Hill. I mean, she just is just so well-rounded and showed a little bit more of that tenacious nasty against Denise Gomes. Denise Gomes tried to bully her basically, and Angela Hill was like, no, you're not gonna fucking bully me, I'm gonna bully you. And I think the same thing could happen here. I mean, Luana, coming off that knockout loss, wants to get it back, comes in as she always does, aggressive, maybe a judo throw here or there. That's what she does at her core. But I think Angela Hill's just gonna be way too tough in that first round, not gonna get finished, and then she's going to win the next 2 rounds. I mean, I think this is just a prototypical Angela Hill versus a prospect with some cardio issues and isn't crazy talented. I think Luana's good, right? And she's got good striking. She can land some power. She's got her judo, but she doesn't have crazy wrestling or jiu-jitsu, and her striking will slow down. And there's not a lot of combinations, just a lot of power, a lot of explosion. Angela Hill's been there, done that, seen all that. I think experience takes over. She wins the next 2 rounds and wins this fight.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And the age, I'm not a huge fan of the older fighters. And I think if you literally bet only the younger fighter, no other, you factored nothing else in, you just bet the younger fighter, I think the younger fighter wins more than 60% of the time. Something like that. It's some stat that's almost right there. But the women's divisions and the men's heavyweight divisions are kind of different. And Angela Hill being 39 almost doesn't matter. She's not any slower. There's no differences. She looks exactly the same now as she did 5 years ago. No different at all. And that version, the fast, just throwing stuff out there nice and quick, moving around with that type style, can absolutely win this fight. And I do think she wins this fight. And there's probably decent value at the minus 135. 16-13 in her career. That means she's lost 13 times. That's a ton of losses, but if you dig a little deeper, they're all to pretty high quality, high level opponents. They're not losses to the Luana Pinheiros of the world. Luana's dangerous. Luana's got some skills, but she'll fade if she doesn't get a finish early here. $7,900 in DraftKings for Luana, $8,300 for Angela. I got to dig a little deeper on Angela's scoring. I don't know how well she'll score. If she gets takedowns, 100% she'll score really well. But I don't think taking down Luana Pinheiro is the best route to go here. What do you think, Jakey boy? You going to spend any money on either one of them in your DraftKings lineup?
Nope.
All right. Well, there we go. If you do want to unlock the picks, the bets, the round line leans, and more, go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. It is only $10 an entire month. Next up, at UFC Vegas 92, we have Adrian Yanez taking on Vinicius Salvador. Vinicius Salvador. That's a typo because he made a whole thing like my name is Yanez, not Yanez. And I want to be called the right thing. And so I was trying to be respectful. And in my head, I'm like, Yanez. So I didn't even realize I spelled it like that. So I must have just spelled it phonetically. Have you seen Dave Portnoy figure these things out? I think I mentioned that. He literally discovered that on a live stream and it like blew his mind. He couldn't figure what is going on, but he doesn't use a Mac. So he's doing it and it's not working, but the other people he's doing the show with, they have Macs and it's working for them. And watching him do old man confused stuff is really funny because I was too. Yeah, I'm like that woman at, Thomas Jefferson University that was reading. What the hell was I saying? Oh, like that woman at Thomas Jefferson University that was sounding out these names phonetically.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
But they didn't tell her. They had two lists. They had the regular names and then the phonetic names. And they didn't tell her that they gave her the phonetic name list. So she was like, she absolutely butchered it. Either way, we got Adrian Yanez taking on Vinicius Salvador. Adrian Yanez 16-5 in his career. 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off back-to-back finish losses. Vinicius Salvador 14-6 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5, coming off back-to-back decision losses. Both of these guys trying to find their footing again. Vinicius is doing so by moving up in weight. He's a long striker. He's got incredible volume, solid accuracy, and what he thinks, and I keep saying this over and over, is that Roy Jones Jr. style boxing defense. He moves like this. He's going like that. And he doesn't work as well for him as you think it would, or as he thinks it does, because he does have a negative striking differential. He will keep his hands unreasonably low. He will bob and weave. He is durable. He's got some power in his hands. He's got some power in his feet. His takedown defense is not great, but he uses his length on bottom to throw things up, scramble, and work his way out of there. He's taking on Adrian Yanez. Adrian Yanez is one of the more technical strikers in this division. He's fast. He's got high striking IQ, very real power, and he does have a decent chin. We watched Rob Font knock him out, but Rob Font it was literally a perfect punch that landed incredibly well. And we did just watch him get finished by Jonathan Martinez, but that was leg kicks. Adrian Yanez lets his hands go. They are fast. They are accurate. They find their mark. He has 8 fights in the UFC with 5 fight of the night bonuses, 5 stoppage wins, great takedown defense. It is listed at 100%, 0 offensive takedowns whatsoever. I do like Adrian Yanez. I do think he's very good. I don't know what the 2 losses in a row are going to mean. Sometimes that'll mess with your psyche. Adrian Yanez is going to be the much better striker here. His takedown defense should hold up. He is going to be the pick. He's going to be the pick. But minus 325, and I get Vinicius is moving up in weight, minus 325 might be a little tricky. I don't know if I'm going to do anything with this because I just want to see Adrian come out there, get another win, and see how he looks. He looked fine against Jonathan Martinez till his leg was chopped up. So I just got to see a little bit more. But Adrian Yanez is going to be faster, going to be a million times better in the striking department, and going to have good enough takedown defense to keep it there. So Adrian Yanez is going to be my pick, but the odds do seem a bit wide. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to give up on my guy, Adrian Yanez, just yet, right? I mean, that's typically after a couple losses, everyone abandons their favorite fighters and said they need to move on. This is a great matchup for him. You know, Vinicius is a hands low, flashy type of guy. He showed off a little bit more, toughness in his last fight. I think the up and weight is going to help a little bit as well. Honestly, I wish somehow both these guys could win. You know, I love Adrian Yanez. Vinicius is, at Team Hebas, so we have that connection as well. So I wish there was some way that both these guys could win. But Yanez should be, the better boxer. That's all it really should come down to. My advice for Adrian would be, you don't have to come out and try to prove a point. I know he's a proud dude. He's definitely embarrassed by the back-to-back losses, especially getting finished, back-to-back times with the leg kicks. You get knocked out. And a lot of times you come in, you want to get it back. And Vinicius is going to be standing in front of you, and it's going to look very easy. It's going to look easy. His hands are going to be low. At times he could be sticking his chin out. Just be patient. Just be patient, because Vinicius is going to do the wild stuff. He's going to be live early, but if you stay patient, he's going to get even more wild. He gets frustrated. He'll put his back against the fence. He's like, come here, like the Anderson Silva. He's a very proud striker in his own right. If you stay patient, he's going to get even more wild, and just regular-ass boxing will be just enough. Eventually, you'll hit him enough. You'll be able to wear him down, and it can be like that Randy Costa KO TKO, where you just finally get him against the fence, you crack him with a shot, and then you're going to be able to finish him. Don't come in and see this guy with his hands low, because he does do wild stuff and he does have power. I think, 14 of his wins, I think most of them are KO wins, 13, whatever it is, if not all of them. I mean, this guy is a finisher. Take your time. He's going to do the wild stuff. He's going to be egging you on. There's not going to be a crowd booing. You're at the apex. Let's get this win. It should be a win. Just box this guy. Stay clean with it. The knockout will find itself, Adrian. There's no doubt about that. Vinicius is a fun dude. He's definitely a fun dude to watch. I think that he's just going to be a little bit overmatched in the boxing here. But he's wild enough that he could find something. So I just want Adrian to be careful, but he is definitely going to be my pick.
Yeah, I mean, he's bigger, he's faster, he should hit harder. Like all those things. I agree with you. I mean, he should 100% win this fight. Not 100, but this is fist fighting. But I don't know. I don't love a lot of these big favorites on this card. And minus 325, 3-1 should win. But let's see how this goes. Maybe I'm giving Vinicius Salvador a little too much credit, because it's definitely not on worrisome side on the Adrian side, but Vinicius is good everywhere. So I guess we'll find out. And somebody commented he's been having weight cut issues, which is why he moved up, which is true. And maybe he'll look spectacular because he isn't cutting weight anymore. Or, just not going to look great. Maybe he's going to look Michel Pereira-esque. Michel Pereira's looked better at 185 than he ever looked at 170.
Yeah, the nice part, too, is for Adrian is Vinicius is not going to be like, he's a low-volume type of guy who wants to kind of counter-strike, will play these games. So the good news for Adrian, too, is he shouldn't at least kind of have somebody like jump right in his face, because after a couple knockouts and some, he could kind of just be on your bike a little bit, and he shouldn't have that issue.
Yeah, and that's why I'm just curious to see what he's going to look like. But the leg kick KO, like if he got knocked out twice, like he did with Rob Font, it happened twice, then it's like, what's he going to do now? It was a leg kick TKO. It is what it is. Like, you get kicked in the leg, you get kicked in the leg. And even if Vinicius goes out there and tries to do that, Jonathan Martinez's leg kicks are next level. You can't just like kick somebody's leg. Like Vinicius has
leg
different
kicks
world.
Too, but they're not anything crazy. He has that weird back, that little step through, and with his back leg behind his own leg, he like kicks his shin or kicks the knees. Got some weird stuff. He'll do cartwheel kicks. He'll do all sorts of weird shit.
Yeah, I'm curious to see the size, what the size is going to be here, because Vinicius was huge at 25, 35. I don't know if he's going to be, what's the height?
He's a tall guy, long guy.
Yeah, 5'7", 5'7".
I mean, he literally is like just a small version and not as good version, obviously, of an Anderson Silva. I mean, that's how he fights, hands low, does the wild stuff. Literally will just walk back to the fence and say, come on, once he's on the fence, his hands are completely at his knees, and he's just trying to head movement, everything. He should be hittable.
Yeah, it should be an interesting fight. $9,300 in DraftKings. The only reason I may not jump on that is because Vinicius is durable. And even though Adrian has 5 wins in the UFC with 5 finishes, Vinicius is durable. I don't know if he's a guy you're just going to blast and put out like that. You think he will?
Here's my what I just thought of. My biggest probably advice for Adrian is he's a boxer. And a lot of times, as you're flowing, you want to extend those combinations, right? And that's usually how you find those big shots, the third, fourth, fifth shot. against Vinicius, I would not extend those combinations, right? Because he can take a shot and he will throw something weird. I would just stick 1-2 or 1-3 or so, something very just nice and tight. Your hands are back. You're out of there. Beat him up that way.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, that's not well, look what happened with was it Chris? Oh, no, Chris Weidman threw that extra strike, which knocked out Anderson Silva. Right. He was doing 3-punch combinations through the fourth, and it connected. But yeah, I hear you. Well, either way, if you want to check out the picks, the bets, the round line leans, the artificial intelligence, and more, WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. It is only $10 for an entire month.
And that's a little bit different, too, because Weidman doesn't have the striking of an Anderson, so he had to do something.
Yeah,
Yanez can stand and just outbox this guy, or should.
Well, and in my head, before I said it out loud, I was like, oh, I know somebody who lost who extended a combo. And it's like, oh, nope. He won that fight.
He did win.
Next up, at UFC Vegas 92, we have the featured fight of the evening. We have a hyped prospect. Hopefully, not as hyped as last week's prospect that didn't get the win, but we have a hyped prospect in Omar Sy. And he is taking on Antonio Tricoli, another very long layoff. Omar Sy is 9-0. He is undefeated in his career with 7 stoppages. He's taking on Antonio Tricoli. 12-3 in his career. 3-1-1 in his last 5. He is coming back after almost 3 years away. And his layoff is USADA related. And Omar Sy, it's a name that's going to be new to you. He wasn't on Contender Series. He hasn't been in the UFC. He is a straight-up new signing. And he's a great signing. This guy's an absolute beast. He's a walking highlight reel of knockouts, slams, all sorts of explosive actions. He can strike. He can grapple. He is most dangerous as a striker. He has 7 finishes and 9 wins, which does highlight his danger. But it also means he went to a decision twice. And I watched those fights. The decision fights are very important to me when you see somebody as dangerous, as aggressive, somebody that has the finishing abilities as Sy. And he looked fine. Of course, he slowed down, lost some sting on his punches, but he looked okay. He looked fine. He's not a guy that I would classify as KO or bust, finish or bust. We saw him win 2 decisions, and I think he can last a little longer if he needs to as well. He's taking on Antonio Tricoli. This guy's coming back after 3 years away. I mentioned it was a USADA issue. He was a hot prospect at the time. He's a fun, come-forward kind of guy, incredibly long for this division. He'll throw long strikes. He'll come forward. He'll just manage that distance and that range really well, and then he'll close the distance and look to grapple. He doesn't look like he has a ton of power, but he's got plenty of knockdowns and plenty of knockouts because of the length and how he sets up those strikes. His takedowns are mostly trips, uchimatas, things like that, clinch-style takedowns. But if he does get you to the ground, he is very aggressive, and he'll use that length to lock up chokes. Tricoli, and I said this in my quick picks, is going to wish that he was still on the sauce. I think Omar Sy is going to be a very, very tough outing for him. He's just as big, so Antonio Tricoli is not going to be able to just be huge. Sy is just as big, hits harder, is faster, all the things. I think Omar Sy is going to be that guy. If he wasn't a UFC debut, he would be in the safety parlay, but he is a UFC debut, and you can't trust these people 100%. But I'll take the extra minus 100 discount on him since the line open. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I mean, I was watching some Tricoli tape or whatever, and apparently he's Mackenzie Dern's boyfriend or whatever, so you know that their striking is going to be absolutely fantastic. I think the only way that Sy loses this fight is in like an early jiu-jitsu exchange. Tricoli is kind of that jiu-jitsu guy. If this was a jiu-jitsu match, he might be able to do enough to win that fight. But Sy should be better everywhere. And look at this was like Tricoli's last fight at 185. This guy looks like he's, could fight at 145. This is the guy and credit to him. He smoked that dude, but Jesus Christ, look at that guy compared to Sy right now. I'm going Sy.
Yeah, I think it is literally that easy. Antonio Tricoli is a guy, like he is good, but he's just used to being enormous and having some of those abilities, the grappling abilities, things like that, where I agree. I don't necessarily think it's going to matter here. Omar Sy is not a bum, and he doesn't fade. I was worried he was a first-rounder bust kind of guy, and he's not. So Omar Sy is going to be the pick for both of us. We don't have DraftKings pricing yet. This is a new-ish fight to the card. He is a UFC debut. I imagine he'll be in the 9,000 range. Maybe we get lucky at like 8,900, something like that. I do think he wins. I do think he wins by finish. I'm going to do all the things with him. I do have some bets with him. I believe you do as well, Jakey boy.
I don't think I do.
I'm almost positive you do.
I might.
Yeah. If you want to check out that bet that he forgot he placed, but I'm remembering that he did, go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. It's only $10 for an entire month, and you will unlock all the picks, all the bets, all the round line leans, and more.
Guys, it's on Tapology.
What's on Tapology?
Everyone's like, it's not on Google, it's not on ESPN. What is this fight?
Yeah, Tapology is the authoritative source. It's funny because the guy that does the data sheet for us is he was like, the data's, it's all over the place. They haven't updated. The UFC, for such a massive company, their website sucks. Like, the website isn't bad as far as technology, all that stuff. The fight orders are always wrong. The fights are always wrong. It's not correct till like 3 days before the fight. You can't go to UFC and trust it.
Omar was supposed to fight Rodolfo Bellato, so they found another juice-head Italian for him to fight.
We do have a $5 super chat from Fighting to Read. Quick hits favorite, all-time fighter, prospect, weight division, love the content, and yes, I can read Angelo, kind of. Because last time he super chatted, we were figuring out, is he fighting to learn how to read or fighting so other people can read? All right, I'll go, and then you go. For me, all-time fighter, I think it's going to be Vitor Belfort. My favorite prospect right now, probably Mauricio Ruffy after what he just did. And my favorite weight division, man, the little guys are exciting, but I'll always be a light heavyweight fan. Jakey boy, your face is covered, but all-time fighter?
Cub. And I hope that I get a chance to meet him at 303. He's on the 303 card, which is exciting. Hopefully I get a chance to run into him. I love Cub.
There you go. Cub Swanson. Your favorite prospect right now?
Probably Gene Matsumoto. That dude's fucking good, man.
He is good. And your favorite weight division? Women's. Yeah, you didn't even think of that until I said it.
It's probably, I don't know. I don't think I really have a favorite, honestly.
I would assume the lighter weight classes just because they're faster and more entertaining.
Anything but heavyweight, tell you that.
Yeah, the heavyweight
fights. I hate heavyweight fights.
No, I hear you. Anyway, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Next up, at UFC Vegas 92, we have the co-main event of the evening. We have Chaos Williams. And no, his first name is not Chaos. I forget what it is. I had it written down, but it's not Chaos. But he is one of the sweet guys that gets the cool nickname, and they use it as if it is his real name. And he's taking on Carlston Harris. Carlston is his real name, and that is not a cool name. Chaos Williams, 14-3 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5, coming off the close win over Rolando Bedoya. He's taking on Carlston Harris, 19-5 overall, 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off that late submission win over Jeremiah Wells. This fight has had some interesting line movement. Chaos Williams opened as the dog. He is steadily the favorite, but it has been yo-yoing up and down just a little bit because I think people look at it and they say, damn, Chaos Williams hits hard. Chaos Williams is good. And then they look at Chaos Williams' last fight and they're like, he had like no head movement in that fight. He did slow down. Yeah, but he's still powerful. They look at Carlston Harris and they're like, this is a well-rounded guy. He's got power in his hands. He just submitted Jeremiah Wells. And they're like, yeah, but he was losing that entire fight until he turned the tides. So I get the line movement. I get the odds yo-yoing a little bit. Chaos Williams is always fun to watch. He's never in a boring fight. He's going to walk you down, throw a ton of power, solid low kicks. He'll use those low kicks to take out his opponent's legs, slow them down, and then he'll come up the head looking for a knockout. I mentioned he's coming off that win to Rolando Bedoya. That was a split decision, razor-thin decision over Rolando. The biggest issue in that fight for Chaos was there was no head movement, and he slowed down big time. But he did show us the power and the explosiveness. He's taking on Carlston Harris. He's a well-rounded guy. He's pretty wild in the striking department, but he does have some power in there. He's a slick, opportunistic grappler. If it is there, he will find it and he will grab it. And that's exactly what he did in his last fight. His wrestling is solid as well. He doesn't really have traditional takedowns, but he'll work in some body locks, some trips, create a scramble, and then in that scramble, he'll make something happen. And he's coming off that come-from-behind submission win over Jeremiah Wells. Chaos Williams is crazy dangerous. This guy is nuts dangerous. I'm not sure if he's the better overall fighter, right? He's going to be the more powerful striker, probably the cleaner striker, but does he have the better wrestling? Does he have the better jiu-jitsu? Is he the better overall mixed martial artist? I'm not sure. But I think he'll be a good enough striker, have good enough takedown defense. I do think he will win this fight. He's going to be the pick because I trust that takedown defense over Carlston Harris's 29% takedown offense. But I'm not. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Do you get that?
Nope.
Did you hear the tune? I'm going to do that one more time. Pay attention. Tell me if you get it.
McDonald's, yeah.
Okay. So I said I like Chaos Williams to win this fight, but I'm not. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Loving it, yeah.
There we go.
Now go or something.
Yeah, no, that's your. That I mean, that honestly was almost the cleanest segue we've ever done, and blew it.
All right. Well, Chaos Williams is going to be the better striker here. He should have the takedown offense to withstand a guy like Carlston Harris. I like Carlston Harris a lot, but he is just so fucking sloppy. I mean, his like right hand is like a hammer fist right hand that's not straight. It's not loopy. It's just a very weird shot. I will be honest. Chaos is a guy that I don't think he's ever been knocked out, but it's kind of surprising that's never happened because when he blitzes in, he does get hit and he telegraphs a lot of shit. And I do believe that Carlston is going to be the more dangerous fighter. Obviously, if the fight goes to the ground, he's dangerous there. But even on the feet, even with this sloppy, wild shit, I think he's the more dangerous fighter. I think his power is a little bit overrated. It's a little bit telegraphed. Not saying that he can't hurt a guy like Carlston or hurt a guy like Carlston, but I think it's just a little bit telegraphed. Carlston just being the more dangerous fighter, I think he's going to have more opportunities to win this fight. I know there was some people that were like, "Oh, Carlston, lock of the week." He's just too sloppy to trust a guy like that. KS is a guy that really never gets finished, and if this is a decision fight, it's probably going to be a KS fight. It means he's been there. He wasn't taken down. He wasn't submitted. He was landing enough powerful shots, and Carlston was just a little bit too wild. So one thing I was interested in that I actually played, but I kept it out of premium, was Carlston inside the distance decisional action. Chaos typically isn't a guy that gets finished, but I don't think there's a finishing ability on Chaos side versus Carlston. And I think Carlston could end up being that guy that finds a finish on Chaos. But I'm taking Carlston, but it's razor thin just because he's more dangerous. I don't love it.
Come on. No, come on.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, they called me corny for singing this song. You know what? Honestly, like I tried a new joke. Let's see who steals it. I tried the joke. I thought it was a ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Anyway, Chaos Williams, $8,200 in DraftKings, $8,000 for Carlston Harris. Man, definitely pick your side. Chaos isn't going to be shooting. You kind of need takedowns here. You kind of need takedowns to score pretty well. Carlston Harris is an elderly gentleman. He's chilling at 36. He's looking 46. I do think Chaos Williams wins. $8,200 is such an enticing price. It's like right there for me to grab it. And you know what? Maybe Chaos just looked bad in that last fight because Rolando Bedoya is such a savage. Maybe that's why Chaos didn't look very good in that fight. You going to touch the DraftKings here on either side?
Not for me. Not this one.
Yeah, it is. It does suck because they're just so affordable. A guy as dangerous as Chaos Williams at this price point, but it is tricky. If you do want to check out everything that we're doing for DraftKings, see all the picks, all the bets, the FanDuel content, the Prize Picks content, the Underdog Fantasy content, everything that we do, Running Mouth MMA, Artem, the Artificial Intelligence, it is all in one beautiful package of only $10 for an entire month. UFC 302 is the next event that will be included in your package. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's only $10 for an entire month. We got a couple of comments here. James Kuyu, who's normally like a weird loser hater, said, Angelo, what does a chub like you order? Here's a little peek behind the curtain. You fucking loser. So here is my go-to McDonald's order. Okay, listen, I'm losing weight. I'm training a lot. It's not moving at all. Okay, so when you hear the order, just know that I could probably break your loser ass in half. You're either fat or skinny. There's no in between. My go-to McDonald's order is a large number one with an extra patty and extra slice of cheese. And my neighbors absolutely laugh in my face when they hear that. But Big Macs are small. Dude, a double Whopper is bigger than a Big Mac. You agree with that statement?
I've never had a Big Mac. Not interested.
That's not true. That's impossible.
I've never had I'm not interested in weird sauces. I just eat cheeseburgers.
But you like Burger King? I guess
Mustard.
there's no weird sauce. So it's but how did you know a Big Mac was a number? Oh, I said it was small. A Big Mac, extra patty, extra slice of cheese. Kenny Ash said, oops, I unstarted. Kenny Ash said, like buttons are free. Click the like button. Thank you very much, Kenny Ash. And then Joel said, I miss McDonald's. Shit is like $10 now for a sandwich and fries. F that. What is funny is even Chili's. I don't know if you've seen the recent Chili's commercials. Even Chili's is like, this is cheaper than fast food. And look at the difference. And they literally show it. The price for McDonald's, the price for Chili's, and the food, you can't even compare it. And it's like, this is cheaper. So you're right. Fast food has gotten out of control.
Fast food is $12, $14, $15, $16.
Yeah, it is. It has gotten absolutely outrageous. It's no longer cheap. It's just fast. Let's move on. Next up, at UFC Vegas 92, we have the main event of the evening. We have Edson Barboza in another main event against a prospect. He's taking on undefeated Lerone Murphy. Edson Barboza, 24-11 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He is coming off that main event win over Super Sadiq Yusuf. He's taking on Lerone Murphy, 13-0 in his career, undefeated, coming off the decision win over Josh Cooleybow. If you compare these guys' resumes, they're not even. You can't compare their resumes. Edson Barboza has done everything other than become world champion. This guy's a great striker. He's got amazing movement. He's fought every single person in multiple divisions. He's a walking highlight reel of knockouts and submissions. He's unbelievably fast, insanely technical. Barboza doesn't really initiate takedowns that often, but when he does, they're very good. When he's on the ground, he's got great sneaky submissions. In the past, I've basically said he's like Charles Oliveira, just a little watered down. And that is who he is. He's got great striking, great grappling. I watched him knock out Terry Edom live. Not in person, like live. I was watching live on the broadcast. And you'll see that spinning back heel kick knockout because he was just stiff as a board. That is on almost every modern UFC highlight ever. And Edson Barboza is still fast, still dangerous, he's still all the things. Now, a couple losses don't hold up as well as the others, but Edson Barboza is a very good, very dangerous guy. He's also not very young, but he's taking on Lerone Murphy. This guy's a very good striker who moves incredibly well and has a ton of power. He's going to light up your body, step completely out of the pocket, move away. His footwork is very good. He is dangerous on his feet. His takedown defense is listed at 37%, but he does a really good job scrambling back up. He was taken down 10 times in his last 3 fights, but he flipped the script when he fought Josh Cooleybow and got 3 of his own. We're about to find out how good Lerone Murphy actually is. Edson is by far going to be the toughest opponent he has ever fought, the most well-rounded opponent he has ever fought. Edson Barboza just beat another young striking prospect in his last main event. This could be more of the same. The way that Edson worked in some takedowns against Sadiq Yusuf is exactly how he can win this fight too. 38 years old is the only thing that's concerning me here. I think the skills are on the Barboza side. While Lerone Murphy is very good, I don't think Lerone Murphy's nearly as fast. I don't think he hits as hard. I don't know what Lerone Murphy does better than Edson if they were the same age. I'm going to ever so ridiculously slightly lean Edson Barboza here, only because we just watch him beat a prospect in a main event just like this. And that was a close fight. That was kind of a back and forth. They both got dropped, all that stuff. But until I see Lerone Murphy beat somebody that is anywhere near a ranking, I'm going to have to lean with the tried and true vet at this point. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I'm kind of a Lerone Murphy hater. I think he's just a really, really good fighter. I mean, he's just very good everywhere. I don't know if he is that championship level guy. He just is a little bit low volume to me. I think Edson is going to have some moments in the first round because, you know, Sadiq was all over him early. He never really got a chance to get in that fight until Sadiq ended up obviously gassing, and then Barboza kind of took over. So Lerrone's not going to blow his load like that. I mean, he's gonna be patient. Lerrone has a very good style for 5 rounds. I think he's going to shine in 5-round fights, and I think that's what it comes down to in this fight. You know, Edson kind of weathered the early storm from Sadiq and was able to use experience and outwork him for the rest of that fight. Lerone Murphy's just going to hang back. I mean, he's just going to sit back there, and Edson's going to do his thing. But I think Lerrone's just a little bit sharper in the striking. Edson's going to have speed early, but Lerone can even slow down the fight with some clinching along the cage as well. So I actually went into this fight thinking I was going to have Edson as my lock of the week. I went in looking for reasons to make him lock of the week because I already knew I had biases against Lerone Murphy because I just don't think he excels really anywhere. But you watch Lerone, man, he's just fucking solid. And I think his style translates really, really well to a 5-round fight. I think he's just going to be too solid. I mean, just too solid for Edson to hurt him and too solid for Edson to steal 3 rounds. I think it's probably a close fight. There's definitely a chance where the Edson does, win this fight. I think it's going to be very close. A lot of Lerone fights are very, very close. But I think Lerone's just going to show that he's doing a little bit more and landing a little bit cleaner. And maybe have a little bit more control. So I'm going Lerone Murphy, to much of my own surprise.
Yeah, I think I get it. I think Lerone can definitely showcase here, right? He can definitely be like, here I am, look how good I am, look who I just beat. But he also could be a little, I don't want to say starstruck, but he might be a little caught off guard by the moment. I mean, his last 2 fights were very close decisions, and it was Josh Cooley, Bows. Like, they're not this level. He hasn't fought anybody as fast, anybody as powerful, anybody with as good as jiu-jitsu. This is a massive step up for Lerone Murphy, where Edson Barboza has fought people just as good and better than Lerone Murphy. And to your point, Lerone's not dangerous, but he is skilled. So if Lerone wins, it's basically picking apart Edson. I don't think Edson needs to worry about, this guy might take my head off, where he had to worry about that with Sadiq. In this fight, he just has to worry about, am I lunging in? Am I being a little too reckless and I'm getting caught? So we are split here. I do think Edson wins, but razor thin margin. $7,700 in DraftKings, $8,500 in DraftKings for Lerone Murphy. You spend the $8,500 on him?
Nope.
It is a 5-round fight. I do think you're going to need some exposure here. I'm going to lean the Barboza side at $7,700. I don't think Lerone's going to score really well. It's just going to be striking. And as Jacob said, it's low volume. Even with the extra 2-round bonus there, I don't think he's going to put up a lot of strikes. He's certainly not going to take down Edson Barboza. So I'm going to go Edson Barboza, $7,700 in my DraftKings lineup. If you do want to check out everything we do, become a premium member. Guys, that is the breakdown. We do ask that you become a premium member. And you can do that with the free money that we give you. All you need to do is go to wewantpicks.com/bets, sign up, make a deposit, and we send you $50 as a thank you. It's affiliate marketing. You're going to use the link. You're going to sign up. They're going to pay me. I'm going to slice off some of that money and give it right back to you. You can use that money, as I mentioned, to become a premium member. Premium membership is going to give you tools, picks, bets, insight. Number 5 is more. One of those tools is the line movement tracker. This is going to give you the opening odds, the current odds, the win probability, and the percentage movement for every fighter on every card. You're also going to get the DraftKings Optimizer. This is pre-loaded with ownership and scoring projections. Pre-loaded and ready to go. Just a few clicks of the button. It will spit out a lineup for you. It'll spit out 150 lineups for you. You're going to get more than just me and Handsome Jake here. You're going to get Artem giving you his PFL picks and bets. His, what the hell's that regional Asia Pac show? The Road to the UFC picks and bets. All the regional shows as well. You're also going to get access to our artificial intelligence and the betting systems we are designing around them. Every single freaking thing that I just mentioned is only $10 a month. One sweet package. Any words for the people, Baby Jake?
Nope.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. Like, subscribe, do all the things. Don't forget, Jacob's Lock is 100% free. It is dominating, and it will be here. You can do that tomorrow, Wednesday, normal schedule for the lock?
We'll see. who knows? It's a tough week.
You know how you'll find out? You click the subscribe button, you click the bell, and it'll tell you when it happened, guys. Thank you so much. We appreciate every last one of you.